Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. We're now just a couple of days away from the end of the 2023-24 Premier League season and seeing who will be crowned champions. There have been a few big games already this week, and most significantly, Manchester City came through what on paper has been their biggest test left for a while at Spurs. And Mikey, you were there, pitchside.
Pitchside, lovely atmosphere. Well, I say the atmosphere. We got there about 3 hours before the game, and the Spurs fans outside the stadium, there was nervy because obviously they wanted to be in Champions League, even though if it was a small chance of them getting there because of the result with Villa and Liverpool the day before. But it was just a weird environment, which then seeped onto the pitch, I thought Spurs in the first half were very good. I thought they defended quite well. I thought they nullified the threat from Man City, especially in the middle of the pitch. It was just waiting for that first goal. And once that first goal went in, it was like, okay, it's done now, isn't it?
What were the Tottenham fans like before the game? Because obviously at the end of the game we know what happened. You know, City went through and Spurs were kind of celebrating the fact that Arsenal are less likely to win the league now. Were they like that before the game?
I would say it was split, really. I spoke to a couple of fans and they was like, we've still got a chance. Yeah. We don't approach a game and want to lose a game. We don't think like that. And then the other fans were sort of like a bit of banter. Well, if there's one team we're supporting today, it's Manchester City. So I think it was split, Gary, if I'm being totally honest. But it was more nervous energy than anything, I would say, around the stadium. Like, they didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Were the players going to turn up? Was it going to affect them? There was a part of the fans that was really loud and cheering. A part of the fans that, once we got into the stadium, that was just sitting there, like when you go to a NFL game or a pre-season game and the atmosphere is just nice and relaxed. That's how it was.
That was his comments after the game, though, as well, wasn't it, Gaz, about Postecoglou's comments?
Yeah.
I mean, he was definitely having a pop, wasn't he? He was having I could understand his anger and his hurt and everything else, but he was definitely having a. He was critical of the atmosphere, wasn't he? He was critical of the whole night, I think, as what happened. I mean, that chance from Son, obviously, we'll be talking about for a long time. But his comments, I thought, were really interesting after the game about the whole club and about the whole atmosphere and everything that went with it.
Yeah, he made it very clear, and even on the pitch, there was that bit where he went at a fan for the similar reasons. So
yeah.
I sort of understand that in a way because it's his team, he wants to win, and for a lot of us, I mean, I've always been a bit like this, that the local rivalry thing and the hatred of another football club comes before the actual result of a game. Seems baffling to me, but that's human beings are very tribal. We know that, I think. It was interesting. He talked about the 48 hours. It started with a press conference the day before the game, didn't he? When a journalist asked him about, there is a proportion of the Tottenham fans. He was going, what is that proportion? 1%, 20%, 50%?
Yeah.
So you could see it's probably growing. And then he had a little snap at the fan. I suspect he'll calm down a little bit after a few days, because at first people were reading it into it that he was having a pop at maybe Levy or something else had happened behind the scenes. But I think it's fairly obvious what it was.
I think it was a pop at everything, wasn't it? I mean, there was the whole where they've been, who they've had, the situation that we're in. I mean, it was a very unique situation that they found themselves in the other night. I mean, not very many times will you come across that situation. But I got everything he was saying in terms of their lack of success, who they are, what they're up against, where their rivals have been, where they want to go, the lack of atmosphere. I understood all his points, and I thought he was right in what he said.
I saw you chatting to him prior to the game. There was an interview pitchside, Micah. Did you? I didn't. I switched off and went to bed after. I'm sorry, I couldn't stay up for you. But did he come back after the game or not? For you?
No, he didn't come back after the game.
Knew he had to talk to Micah. That's why he pinned it.
Did you sense a tetchiness to him prior to kick-off?
Not before the game. He comes up to me. He goes, "How you doing, big man?" I was thinking, yes. He obviously knows. And
no, he obviously forgotten your name, so he called you big man.
How you doing, big lad? The thing is, obviously, at the start of the season, everything was going so well, wasn't it? And we was talking about, the press was talking, can they do it? Was talking, without Kane, they look a little bit more structured, they can press higher, a bit more energy. But I agree with Alan. I like the fact that he's just an honest manager, wears his heart on his sleeves. If things are going right, he don't get too excited. But in that interview, he was making a statement, wasn't it? And I don't think it was just the build-up of this game and the fans and how they was going to approach the game. I think he was basically saying as well, because he said he had a meeting 48 hours before, and I'm guessing with the owners and probably Levy. And to me, it was almost like, well, you've seen what I can do at the start of the season, but I haven't got the squad to fulfill what I really want to do. And it just comes out of frustration. So if I come to you two and say, this podcast is brilliant, but I think if we bring in Ian Wright, it'll just give us another, dimension.
Why are you resigning?
No. I'm here until you don't want me. But it could just give us that extra boost we need, because if you look at Spurs, they'll do very well and energetic. So if you're looking at them from a tactics point of view, you're thinking, they're doing some very good stuff. Towards the end of the game, the combinations don't be the same. The subs that come on at times don't bring the same energy as probably he would like and the way he wants to press. So I think it was just a frustration thing, and I liked it. I really
well,
did.
he won't be the first to have a frustration at the Tottenham ownership, have you? I don't know whether you saw when this happened. All of a sudden, you see on social media, don't you, old interviews of well, not necessarily that old either, but Jose Mourinho's I saw where he said, I have really good contacts with all my former clubs except Tottenham. Antonio Conte said pretty much the same sort of thing, attacking the owners. I've spoken to one or two managers there that that they can be a little bit interfering, let's say, and or can whinge a little bit about team selection from the upper echelons. So I think they're added all those things together. I think there's a little bit of a gripe about the leadership at Tottenham.
Yeah, but the problem is, or the good thing, if you look at the training ground, amazing. If you look at how the club is run financially, it's amazing too. We've talked about owners coming into clubs and not dealing with the club right. They're doing an amazing job, but I think when managers go in there, top managers, you're thinking, I can change this, I can be the difference. But then when the reality sets in that you're going for a player who's not at the top level or you can't get the best young players, it's going to be frustrating. So I can understand it from the manager's point of view, but you must know what you're going into with Spurs. No,
that's it. You always, you as an individual, I think a manager's trait is that you'll be the one, you think you're the one that you can go in and you can change and you can do this, and then you perhaps get in there and it's a little bit more difficult than you think. And that's obviously the case because all of the managers in there are generally saying the same thing, aren't they, that have been in there. So there must be some truth in what they're trying to say or have said.
Do you think there's any danger that could be a parting of the ways, or do you think this is just a little warning to the club, or
No, I'd be amazed if I would be amazed because, he's had success. He knows what it tastes like, and that's what he wants to bring there. But no, I'd be amazed if anything was to break there at this moment in time. I think he's.
I think he's brought a lot to the club this season. They've been through a period of time, obviously, where they've been playing let's say, a more defensive style. But he's very brave in the way he plays his football. They keep the ball. I really enjoyed the game the other night. I enjoyed the way that Tottenham kept the ball against City's press, and they were brave, and they got through it most of the times. Occasionally they might have lost the ball, but I thought they played some good football, and it's not easy to take on City. It's not, we know that, because they're so good. But there was certainly no domination of possession like we usually see with Manchester City. Tottenham had one or two chances. I thought they played pretty well. I think they're moving in the right direction, and they are a joy to watch, because you never quite know what you're going to get. They can bang a load of goals in or concede a load. But
didn't the other night just show you that how tiny it is between success and failure? I mean, that chance with Son, that goes in, then it's done. It's done, isn't it? I mean,
well, almost done.
Almost,
the same way as it's
like,
almost done now. Yeah.
But that is
it's the fractions, isn't it?
Oh my
it's
goodness!
The fractions. I mean look at the Real Madrid. When they got knocked out in the Champions League, it was fractions.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And that's that winning mentality maybe sees you through. That I mean, Pep's reaction I thought was incredible. Wasn't it? When Son went through, and you could see him going, oh, and then he just collapsed. It was a little bit like. Can you recall a few years ago in the Champions League when they played against Spurs, and it was the opposite way? Remember when the goal was disallowed, Sterling goal, and that time that Pep just collapsed to the floor in despair. Yeah. This time it was in relief. But it's amazing, his drive, isn't it? I mean, he's won league after league after league after league, and you can see what it still means. I think that thing about, when you're winning competitions, it just gives you a hunger for more and more and more, doesn't it? He's remarkable.
Unbelievable,
isn't he? And just before I talk about Pep, we have to talk about the saves from Ortega. Obviously, Ederson comes off injured. And normally,
before you go on there, Micah, before you carry on, how on earth was he allowed to stay on the pitch, by the way?
Yes.
I mean, we talk about the protocols and head injuries and everything else. How on earth was he allowed to stay on the pitch? If you ever needed evidence that you need a temporary substitution rule to be brought in, then that was it the other night. I mean, sorry, carry on, Micah.
No, it's a very good point, because I think if they would have used that substitution, it wouldn't have been available for the next game, apparently. So it wasn't great at all, was it? If someone had a head injury, you've got to get him off. The players' welfare.
He didn't want to go off, though, did he?
He didn't. No, he was angry.
Players won't want to come off. That's why it has to be taken out the players' hands. We've been saying it. The players will be very reluctant to come off, because that's what you're made of. You don't want to come off a football pitch. But sometimes you need to be taken off, and that was a case of that the other night.
Agreed. And then they bring on Ortega, who's outstanding.
He's good, by the way.
How good is he, though?
Every game I've seen him play has been brilliant.
He's been brilliant, even with his feet. He commands the area, makes good saves, and the best thing though is his calmness. I think when you come on as a sub, we've always talked about it takes a rhythm, especially for goalkeepers. I would say you need to run a game to get up to you. Make sure your reactions are right. But every time he plays, he's bang on it. I think he's fantastic, and that save from Son, the way he just waited, then like spread him. How do you say that? Spread him.
Well, they do that thing. I think I talked about it on the pod recently, and which, why players don't go around the keepers now, because the keeper always sells themselves. You know exactly what they're going to do. They put one leg out and then kind of had closed knee with the other one, and they're committed. They can't move. You drag it to the side, you score every single time, if you've got any kind of touch whatsoever. But Son opted, and the thing is, when he went through though, you think he'll score, because he always does, doesn't he? He's one of the best one-on-ones.
If you've got to choose a person to go through from a Tottenham team, it would have been him. It was a magnificent save. It was one of who's going to blink first, and the keeper made a great save.
Could I just ask you, from a striker's point of view though, because when I was watching it on the, I think it was a third camera angle, sort of Ortega looked as though he was going to go to Son's left. Was a near post not available there, just a curly one round it, because his body weight had almost looked like it had gone to one side already? Or would you just put it down to a good save?
No, it was, but he'd probably already made his mind a fraction before he saw that movement. And that's why I say, go round the keepers or the little big scoopy one as well. That's only actually to do that, you've got to be like Messi with these. But just drag it, and it's so easy to score that way with a keeper running out because it's gone out of fashion a little bit. I've seen one or two lately, but I wonder why that is. Maybe the ball's quicker now. The pitches run away quicker. Maybe the angle runs out faster than it did in the days of the mud and the long, thick grass. I don't know. I remember going round a keeper at Stoke when they used to grow the grass so long to help their big, long ball game. Went round the keeper, knocked it, and started running back to the goal, and it just stopped on the line. It just stopped. There's about six inches of grass. If you were Ortega now, I think Pep came out. He said he's one of the best. He's one of the best keepers around. He's one of the best one-to-one goalkeepers in world football. Would you be satisfied at being number 2?
No, I'd want to play, but everyone has a different mentality, I suppose. You're doing a game to play football. I know he plays him in the FA Cup, and he'll probably play him in the cup final. But you'd want to play every week, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be happy playing one game every 6 or 7 weeks.
He played 18 games, I think, in all comps this season, and 14 last season as well. So I think he's getting enough games to show that he's making a contribution, but ultimately it's not going to be enough, I think, is it, at some stage?
I suppose it depends on your personality, but you know as well as I do that pretty much every footballer wants to play, wants to be the first choice. Maybe he believes that he can be, but we know how good Ederson is. But do you think he's the best number 1 in world football?
There's Ramsdale as well, isn't there? At Arsenal.
Yeah, Real Madrid have got a fair pair as well, haven't they?
Palace have got a few. They've got Henderson's playing at the moment. They've got Sam Johnston as well.
Kelleher came in and did well when Alisson was out, didn't he? This season as well, didn't he?
Would you put any of those above Ortega?
I think Ramsdale's very good.
Ramsdale's got a good shout. Yeah, I was actually thinking like world football as well. Real Madrid have got 3 good goals.
Oh, they've got 3, haven't they? Yeah.
Haaland delivered, and I mean, people say, but he did really touch the ball, didn't do much, and then he tapped one in for 2 yards and a penalty.
It's like I told you.
I was
doing that episode last week. You strikers, mate. He had 11 touches in that first half. Doesn't have to do nothing. Just keep making the runs.
The only 2 touches that really counted in that game, Micah, were the 2 that went in the net.
It's ridiculous, though, isn't it? You strikers get so much love. So much love.
Well, did you watch run after run he made? Run after run, trying to get behind them in the box and all that. No one sees that. That's how you get into that you are that person. Otherwise, everyone would do it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Toughest job, Micah.
Oh, my word. But he is special, though, isn't he?
It helps when you've got someone pinging him in like De Bruyne does, though, doesn't it?
De Bruyne and Foden are brilliant again. I mean, Foden was he's a phenomenal footballer, that boy.
He's so good, isn't he? He's everything. He's got everything. I just worry for the Euros. I know we keep going back to the Euros. Just put him in there. Put him in centre mid. Even if it's just for 60 minutes of the first game. If it doesn't work, hold your hands up and say, okay.
It would work.
Of course it will work.
I mean, you've got to play them all of them. We're going to raise it to 17 aside, and we're going to play them all. You can. I mean, Foden will play. I mean, there's no question about that.
But will he play? Will he play isolated out on the wing?
Agreed.
You could they can move around, rotate, like they did a little bit in the Belgian game, which is the most encouraging performance I've seen from England in a long time, primarily because they just took over different positions, played swapped and all that kind of stuff, which you did. Foden was changing with Bellingham, and Mainu was changing, and it was like really, really encouraging performance, I thought.
But what though? And Al called it from earlier on, and he's got a lot of things right this season. And it pains me to
You
say.
sound surprised, Micah.
Yeah, I am a bit surprised. To be honest.
What's he got right now?
But Gordon has to play on the left. He is unbelievable. He's unbelievable, Gordon. He can do everything. He can work hard. He can make runs in behind. He can get hold of the ball. He can play up front if need be as well. He's got to play. He's got to start left for England. He has to.
Well, Micah's chosen the team, so that's decided.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though. I mean, I know what you're thinking here, Mike. So you're thinking, I think he's got to play that double pivot in the sense of Rice and Bellingham.
Yes.
I mean, I think Bellingham is more that player than he is as a 10, to be perfectly honest. He played there for emergency reasons for Real Madrid. But Rice, one goes, one stays. Rice, Bellingham. They keep rotating. Then you've obviously thinking Foden in front, and then you've got Gordon on the left, Kane at top, and Saka right. But perhaps the best of all may well be Cole Palmer.
Oh, God. What a season he's having.
I mean, to have those kind of players. And the other thing about having like Rice and Bellingham in those roles, and the other players that you've got with that kind of quality, you know, you can put obviously Cole Palmer in the mix if anything happens. And we all know in tournament football, you're going to have different starting lineups every game. It's what everyone's got, you know, obsessed with the first starting lineup, and then that's it. But you never finish a tournament with the team that you started it. But no one would get the ball off them. No, I mean that front six would be so good, backed by very good footballers behind them.
Yep.
The best form of defence is never losing the ball. They can't score if they ain't got it. You know, you cannot within that kind of system, if you want to play that well, put in someone that doesn't keep the ball or as well as the other players do. Because, you know, we know what it's like. Opposite managers will focus on that. They'll allow them to have the ball. And then that's the one danger you've got. But, I mean, we've digressed a little bit from the league title race here. But nevertheless, we've got plenty of time to talk about England in the future. Is the league done? Or could the Hammers put an iron in the fire?
Hey, how long you been working that one out for?
I have to admit, someone texted that the other day. my friend Ed. And I thought that's quite good.
I don't think it'll all be plain sailing. There'll be a part in the afternoon where we'll think, "Oh my God, it can't happen." But I think by the end of the game, it'll be easier.
Moyes' last game at West Ham, though, you know.
No, City at home last day. I mean, you've had the Gundogan moment, late goals. You've had the Aguero moment. I think City have won the title on the last day 4 times already. It's ridiculous. There's no chance, man. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say that. There's
football, Mike. It's football.
I'm going to look like a writing. There's I give him 1% chance of losing on the final day. I think it's done now.
1%.
1% chance, yes.
It's got to be at least 3%. Come on.
Okay, we'll go 3.5%. 3.5%.
It's going up. By the end of this podcast, it will be a 50-50 game. You think it's done, Alan?
I think, yeah. Well, City, I don't think they'll slip up at all. But as I said, I think there'll be moments during the afternoon on Sunday where we're all sat there thinking, "No, this can't happen." Or we'll think, "Oh my God." I don't think it'll be as simple as a lot of people think. But I do think, come the end of the day, it'll be Man City's. Yeah.
Yep. Last night's game, we're doing this on a Thursday morning, ensured that Aston Villa will get Champions League football. None of us predicted that at the start of the season. What a campaign.
Hang on.
Oh, have we got the predictions? I
think you may find I said Aston Villa will have a great chance of breaking into the top 4.
Oh,
have we got the clip of that? I'm not sure we have.
We've got it.
I need evidence.
I remember it well.
I will find out this By the end of this podcast, we will know what you said. A laptop has opened on my left-hand side. Producer Harry is going into a deep dive into Alan Shearer's predictions at the start of the season. We will have that for you very shortly. They last played in the European Cup how long ago? Anyone know?
83.
Yes, Micah.
Hey,
you
some
are
of
our
us do our
stats
homework.
man. You are the stats man. That's right. 1982-83. They, of course, have won the competition in its previous format before football existed. And in the European Cup, I remember that. And I mean, we've mentioned him many times, but Unai Emery's done a marvellous job, hasn't he? And even coming back the other night, 3-1 down against Liverpool.
I just think his attention to detail, he's been able to manage a really tough season because of what they've done in Europe as well. I mean, they got off to a dreadful start. If you remember the first game at Newcastle, Mings got that serious injury. So they've played some wonderful stuff, some great results. Watkins has had a fantastic season, as have many of the players, goalkeeper included. They deserve it. They've been absolutely superb.
I think it just comes with that experience as well from Seville, where he won the Europa League how many times. He goes to PSG. Probably wasn't as successful as it could be for him in terms of the way it panned out, but he still won Ligue 1. And then he goes to Arsenal. Arsenal was the one, wasn't it, where he got to the Europa League final and then they lost that, didn't they? And then he goes and wins it at Villarreal. So he come with big expectations, but no one would know how he would fare at a team in the Premier League after Arsenal. But I think he's been unbelievable. His points per... I think he's got something like 2 points per game since he's been there. For a manager to do that, and you're up against Chelsea and Spurs and Man United and Liverpool, City, it's phenomenal. I think he's outstanding.
You should mention Arsenal before the fans jump all over you as well. So.
Arsenal, obviously Arsenal. What do you mean?
Of course, Alan. I have in front of me the evidence. The evidence.
Okay. Let's get it out.
Is it good evidence or not?
Remind me what you said a few minutes ago.
I think I said something along the lines of like, if there was one team that was going to break into the top four, then it might be Aston Villa.
No such words came out of your mouth. I have it.
What were they? You were very similar.
No, they're not. They're not terrible. But you certainly, there is no mention of the top four.
Really?
Alan's words. Challenging to do better than they did last year. Emery made clever signings. Top six.
Okay.
Oh well, I wasn't too far wrong, was I?
Not too far wrong, but as always, likewise, when you talk about your abilities and your goal scoring talent, you're exaggerating slightly.
Okay.
What did we say, Gaz? Have we got our list there? What did we say about the villains?
Yeah, you got it here. I think we were more accurate. No, we weren't actually. I said Europe, which is I just omitted the words Champions League. And you said, fighting for Europe, but we'll finish 7th, 8th. And here's a good one for you. Picked Torres as a possible signing of the season.
Torres, Pau Torres.
Pau Torres. I tell you one thing with making predictions in football, you will always look a fool on occasions, no doubt about that. So Aston Villa go into the Champions League, and there is, of course, a new format next season. They've found a way to make a bit more money, I think. There's now 8 group games, not 6 group games, and there's only one group. Let me read out the exact format for you because it's slightly complicated. One big 36-team league. Thankfully, they don't play each other twice. Each team will play 8 different sides, 4 home games and 4 away games. To determine the fixtures, the teams will be ranked in 4 seeding pots, and each team will then be drawn to play 2 opponents from each of those pots. They will play 1 match against a team from each pot at home and 1 away. Teams who finish in the top 8 will qualify automatically for the last 16, while those who place 9th to 24th will then compete in a 2-legged knockout playoff for the chance to join them. I hope you understand that. It takes a little bit getting used to. I was talked through this by UEFA actually about a year ago, and it took me a little while to get my head around it because I'm a dopey old footballer. But it's a way of playing more games. It's going to be an interesting one where you don't play the same team home and away. So you'll play 4 teams at home and 4 different teams away. So you play lots of different sides. Thoughts?
Well, we know what it's designed for. It's designed for more money, more games.
And you would think more guarantee of the big clubs always get through to the knockout stage, really.
No, but I think the way they explained it as well, it's making it more competitive earlier on, because sometimes normally you know who's going to win the group, don't you? But now the smaller teams have, I won't say a better chance, but they've got meaningful games. So if, I don't know, Victoria Pilsen go to Man City, home and away, 90% of the chance they'll lose both. But now, if you're playing someone from a different port, if they win their league, it's just, I think I agree with Alan, it's more games, which is not really good. But the format of it is, I actually quite like it, to be honest. I do.
Yeah, when I thought about it, I think with all these things, you've got to see how it pans out. But I kind of get it in principle, and I think it might work. So let's give it a chance. Let's give it a chance. Be a bit like VAR, which we'll come to a little bit later.
That has had a chance.
Exactly.
It's had 4 years.
It's had 4 years. We'll come to that shortly. Let's.
Sorry, just before we go on, and just as well, because I was in a UEFA meeting. The good thing now is, say, countries are sort of working together. So this extra place with the Champions League, it depends on how you do in all of the competitions. So Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. So the better your country does in them tournaments, the better chance you have of getting better spots within the competition. So we're actually playing as a country, which is, I think that's quite good as well.
Yeah, maybe fans from Arsenal will cheer Tottenham on in Europe and stuff like that. Can't see that happening. So, yeah, it's the coefficient that adds it to the end. And I think the first 2 teams next season will be from Germany and Italy, because obviously England didn't do brilliantly in Europe at all this season. Manchester United, Newcastle last night, Alan. That was a decent watch. A bit more encouraging for Manchester United. You're a bit disappointed because it's really looking difficult for Europe now. Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, from a Man United point of view, it was certainly a lot better. The youngsters came to the rescue. I mean, they're still a million miles away from where they want to be, but that's fine. They are where they are. But from a Newcastle point of view, I think another really poor away performance, conceding another 3 goals.
Why do you think they've struggled so badly away from home this season when they're pretty good at home? I
think they've had to chop and change with so many injuries and having the goalkeeper out. Although I thought it was a strange decision not playing Nick Pope last night. I mean, he's obviously had a serious injury and he's been out for a while. He was been on the bench for the last couple of games, but yeah. Anyway, I thought the keeper should have saved the 3rd goal that went in. Haaland, I think it was, yeah. But yeah, they've just had to chop and change all over the park, really, which hasn't helped.
Yeah, but it's not really affected them that much at home. Why should it affect them more away? Is that a psychological thing, or?
Yeah, I think just a bit of everything. Yeah, I think chop, change, in, out, confidence, form, all of those things. The schedule. I don't know. When you put all that together, that's maybe why. But it's very difficult to to be successful and get to where you want to be when I think there's only I think there may be 2 or 3 teams that have got a worse away record than Newcastle. And when you're trying to get into Europe, that's going to be very difficult when you're as bad as they have been away from home. What else can I blame? VAR?
Penalty, should they've had one?
Oh, really?
That was a penalty, wasn't it?
I mean, gee, honestly, it was ironic. On the day they send a letter out to Premier League clubs asking them to vote on whether the VAR should be scrapped or not, and then they get that decision last night. But I think everyone's had their fair share of controversy over VAR over the season, haven't they?
Do you think perhaps VAR was so focused on looking to see whether Casemiro got a touch on the ball or not that they actually missed the obvious clip?
I think that's what happened, yeah.
From behind.
They must be shitting themselves in that room though now, aren't they? Because everyone's basically complaining about the length of time it's taking them. So now they was watching Casemiro, like you said, Gaz, and then, oh, no, it's totally fine, and totally missed. Because they can't have looked at that and Amrabat's foot and think he didn't touch him because it was clear as day, wasn't it? It's just...
It was another one. Let's talk about Chelsea, and then we'll talk about that 14 club thing and whether VAR will be canned or not. Chelsea, well, they continued their impressive run, didn't they? Winning against Brighton, and it's a good end to the season for them. Yeah. They might well sneak into Europe.
Yeah, he's got them going, hasn't he? Pochettino just at the right time. They've come with certainly a late run. I didn't see them doing that at all 6 or 7 weeks ago, but they're playing some really good stuff. Palmer's just had an unbelievable season. He's been a huge part of that. And yeah, they're the favourites now to get into that 6th spot.
What were my comments on Chelsea? Because I've stuck with Chelsea all season. Have you got them there, Gaz? Or what? Because I want some credit for the Chelsea boys. I see the Pirates.
Laptop's opening, Micah. Laptop's opening. Here we go. We'll dig it out for you. Yeah, I mean, Cole Palmer, it's 22nd Premier League goal of the season. I know he won't win the Golden Boot. That'll be Haaland again. I mean, what a footballer. I'd forgotten as well. He didn't play like the first 9 games of the season, you know.
Phenomenal.
I mean, his numbers are incredible, and he's so silky, and he could end up being the best of the bloody lot. You never know.
Yeah, phenomenal talent. Yeah. He's just got this, I don't know, this body language that makes everything look stupidly easy. Yeah. Which obviously, I mean, his control and everything about his manner just looks like so relaxed and comfortable and
floats over the ground, doesn't he?
Just unbelievable. Yeah, he's brilliant.
We're going to win the Euros. We're going to win. I can feel it, guys.
Yeah, the first time he played 90 minutes was the 10th game of the season.
Wow. Unbelievable. Wow. That is incredible.
Extraordinary. Right, Micah, I have it in front of me.
Go on.
Here we go. Shall I read our 2 out first? Just to, bit of a drum roll. I'm very accurate. They have to get higher than 12th. Hang on. European football, but not top 4. Oh, not bad, eh?
Not bad.
Alan,
not bad.
Same. They will challenge for Europe, but not top 4.
No.
Micah, they will do a lot better, but will miss out on top 4 and make European football. We are brilliant.
We all got it right.
Fantastic.
We are, honestly. I mean, that's pretty damn good. And fairly remarkable. Reece James got himself sent off. Bit of a almost Beckham-esque sort of thing. Flicked his leg out. I mean, it wasn't much for me, but I think a yellow and a dumb. But I understand why it's a red.
It's as soon as you do that, you run the risk, don't you?
The thing for him there is, of course, he's played very little football, and you've got the Euros coming up, and then to get himself suspended for the last game of the season, it's a bit annoying when you need games under you to try and make the squad.
Would you take him? What's you lot's thoughts on that?
He can play on the left.
I think he'll miss out.
I think he'll probably miss out because he's been out all season. But Shaw's out, isn't he? Is there any chance of him coming back? He's got to have played a few games before the... I mean, he did a similar thing, didn't he, in the tournament recently, where he was injured for a while and came back late and did well. But I don't know if he's even close.
I think he'll just miss out because of his injuries this season and his lack of football.
Yeah. Who's left backs then?
We've got Trippier, could play left back.
Who can play left back? Yeah.
Chilwell.
Yeah. So, I mean, Reece James might be... I mean, if he's fit...
He could do all across the back, can't he? Plays
exactly. He's got
right
that
of the free for
playing.
Chelsea.
Yeah. So
I would take him. If he's fit. Depends how bad, because obviously I think it's hamstring, isn't it? And he can't mess around with hamstrings. He was out for a long time. Yeah. But if he, his fitness tests are in, I would take him. I think
I think there'll be an initial squad will be quite big one, so you can have a good look, few games against each other and see what it looks like. We shall wait and see. It's a tricky one, that. Let's talk about the VAR. Wolves have formally submitted a proposal to the Premier League for a vote at the league's AGM in June on the removal of VAR from the start of the 24-25 season. Let me read you their items that they've put to the Premier League. And the other clubs, of course, involved. The introduction of VAR in 2019-20 was a decision made in good faith, with the best interests of football and the Premier League at its heart. However, it has led to numerous unintended negative consequences that are damaging the relationship between fans and football and undermining the value of the Premier League brand, which include impact on goal celebrations and the spontaneous passion that makes football special, frustration and confusion inside stadiums due to lengthy VAR checks and poor communication, a more hostile atmosphere with protests, booing of the Premier League anthem and chants against VAR. Overreach of VAR's original purpose to correct clear and obvious mistakes, now over-analysing subjective decisions and compromising the game's fluidity and integrity. Diminished accountability of on-field officials due to safety net of VAR, leading to an erosion of authority on the pitch. Continued errors despite VAR, with supporters unable to accept human error after multiple views and replays, damaging confidence in officiating standards. Disruption of the Premier League's fast pace and lengthy VAR checks, and more added time causing matches to run excessively long. Constant discourse about VAR decisions, often overshadowing the match itself and tarnishing the reputation of the league. Erosion of trust and reputation, with VAR fueling completely nonsensical allegations of corruption. Is there any of that you can argue with, chaps?
No, there isn't. I mean, it's very difficult to go against any of those points, isn't it? Because all of those points, they have happened and are happening, and will continue to happen.
Yeah. If you're an owner of a Premier League club now, who do you vote with?
My opinion would be I would still keep VAR, but I would have a complete reset and go back to what they told us. And I keep saying it. How many times have I said it? For the absolute howlers, and they're not going to re-referee the game. That's what I would do it as.
This is why I don't think that can ever work, Alan. Because I'll tell you not. You go to last night, Anthony Gordon. That is not a clear and obvious howler. Now, it was a penalty. There was a clip.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. The referee didn't give it. It was. Is it an absolute?
But
howler?
Who define that? How do you define clear and obvious? How? It's that you can't, the thing is, it will, because clear and obvious to some will not be clear and obvious to others. For me, I go back to this. The only way out of this mess, and I think they should probably keep offside and goal line technology, but I think you either scrap it, the rest of it, and I'd possibly vote for that, or I think perhaps more realistically, take it to an appeals system, and you limit the amount of times that VAR, they can't intervene unless someone appeals, and it's got to be the captain, and they've got to tell you what they're appealing for. It doesn't mean say there's a goal and you've got to find some kind of foul somewhere. You've got to stipulate what that foul is. If the captain does it, he pushed him, have a look. And if it's a foul, it's a foul. There's no bar It's the decision that the VAR looks at and along with the referee makes it. Maybe one appeal a half, or you can work out and argue about the appeals thing, but it stops VAR coming into every possible corner that comes in, having a look, see if there's a push. It stops all those things unless the captain, or it has to be the captain because the coaches and stuff they'll have iPads on and all that kind of stuff. So within the same kind of time thing like you do in cricket, it's easier in cricket to work out what's right and wrong, but you can still do that. You can have 20 seconds after for players to have a little chat. He pushed me, he shoved me, I think we should appeal. And it would add to the drama. You'd see it on the screens and all that kind of stuff. And it's not going to, every single goal is not going to be like, are they going to look for something? Which they have to do at the moment. They have to look at every single goal that's scored, every possible penalty decision. So I think that's the only way out of this if you're going to carry on with it, which I suspect.
Yeah, they're not going to bin it. They won't. The clubs won't bin it. They won't bin it.
Yeah. What do you think the fans want, though? I think the fans would. I think there'd be a massive. I think I did a poll not a few months ago on Twitter. I think it was about 60, nearly 70% of fans want it out. And should we listen to fans? The experience for them in the stadium is awful.
I've done both, right? I've sat in the posh seats and I've also stood on the terraces this season. And the experience for a fan with VAR is crap. It really is. It takes so much away. You haven't got a clue. You don't know what's happening. That cannot be right for the people that are paying the money to get into a stadium. That is absolutely, it cannot be right. No, there's no game without any fans. So that isn't right. That they're the last to find out, and they haven't got a clue what's going on. So from a fan point of view, in a stadium, it is crap. Yeah,
scrap it, scrap it now. It's done. We've tried. It's not happening. It's spoiling the game. It's ruining the flow. It's just, I don't think they will. I agree with Alan. I don't think they will. But for me, I was like, bring it in. I made a mistake. I'm sorry for shouting it so loud. Not that my opinion mattered, but I said we should have it. Now, it's got to go. It's just spoiling the game.
I sense it won't. I think it's a little bit like AI. I mean, it was brought in for the right reasons. And I've got feeling that AI might spiral out of control, and we'll all regret it. And I think there's a few similarities with.
You telling me I'm not speaking to Gary Lineker? I thought this was.
That would be the good bit. And there's a lot of good to AI, and I think there could be a lot of good to VAR, but I think with the, I jest, but I think it will be interesting to see what happens. I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to do another Twitter poll today, which I shall put out, and it would be interesting to see what the results of that. And I'll just basically, should we scrap VAR or keep VAR? And I'd be interested to see what the percentages are, because last time I voted for by well over 100,000 people, which is way bigger than a poll you would get before a political election or something like that, and so it should be quite accurate, I would think.
I think they've either got to get it right, sharpish, or not at all. And they've had 4 years of it now, and it hasn't been right, and they've got too many things wrong. They haven't used it as they told us they were going to use it, and they've got to get it right. They've got to get it right this or next season. Otherwise, I'll be like you guys. I think they've had 4 years of it, and if they don't get it right in the next 12 months, then I'll be screaming like you to get rid. But yeah. I would keep it, and I would make sure that they improve it.
I don't know how you can get it right. I mean, they are saying VAR is working because they'll point to enough decisions that would have been changed that would have were important. I would think they'll get it right more than they get it wrong. But yeah, I'm sort of with you, Alan. But I think they needed a change. I think under the current system, the way it goes, whether you raise the bar or lower the bar, whether you re-refereeing games or you're waiting for the so-called clear and obvious, I don't think it can possibly improve. I just don't, because it still comes down to human beings
but
looking at a screen.
There's half the problem again, though, isn't it? What's this nonsense about high bar and low bar? I mean,
well, that's it.
How can they go from there to there halfway through a season like they have done?
I'll tell you exactly why they do that.
I'll
tell you exactly why they do that. Because as soon as they've got a low bar, people say, "Oh, you're giving too many decisions," and then they go, "Oh shit! All right, we'll raise the bar." And then they put a really high bar, and then people say, "Well, you gave that 3 weeks ago. Now you're not giving it, so you can't win." I feel for VAR, and I feel for them because it's any subjective decision it might be clear to someone, but will be absolutely the opposite to someone else. So, I think they're in an impossible position the way it is, and that's why I would change it.
That's exactly what we have to give a context from the referee as well. It's not fair on them really, because we've argued, haven't we? You remember the Gordon foul with Calvin Phillips? We're two ex-pros. You thought it was a penalty. I didn't think it was a penalty, you know? And then how are they? Then the law, they've got to abide by the law in the rules. So it's difficult for them, isn't it, really?
Some of the laws don't make it easy for the referees. Absolutely, I'm with it. And I'm hoping that the semi-automated offside will help improve things and speed things up from that point of view, because Micah said it earlier about they are petrified, and they often say now, well, we have to take that amount of time. You'd rather the right decision, and it took a little bit longer than us get it wrong and make the decision within 10 or 15 seconds. But the semi-automated next season will help speed that up.
Yeah. Okay. That's all for today's episode of The Rest is Football. This is going out on Friday. We did it on Thursday. I'll do the Twitter poll on Friday. After people have perhaps heard this particular episode. We'll be back on Monday reacting to all the drama from the final day of the season, and of course I'll give you the results of the poll. Have a great weekend, everyone. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a great weekend.